right, so we're standing here with three of our cast members from Taking Off the Mask. I want to ask you guys a question. From the first play, play that we did, what was your favorite scene, or should I say, what was the most impactful scene that was done in the Taking Off the Mask?
To me, I think the most significant, important scene was the HIV/AIDS scene, simply because, for one, the block party that we did have for part 2 was centered on Southern's campus, and Southern is most affected by HIV and AIDS. And not only that, but it's a serious epidemic for the state and the city as whole. I think we're number 1 or 2 in the nation for HIV and AIDS. So I think it was really important that we go ahead and get that issue out there, and it was important that we do it on the campus of Southern University. So that was really important.
Okay, good. What would be another scene that was very impactful, you thought was very important that we did?
The scene that I felt that was most important was the bullying scene, because a lot of kids in the community get bullied into a certain way of life, or they're picked on because they don't have what others have, or they compare themselves, and it's so bad to the point where we start killing each other because we can't settle arguments. We start killing each other because we compare ourselves or killing ourselves, and that's a big issue.
Okay, so you kind of talked about killing each other, and we know that in this city the crime rate is very high. There's countless amount of murders, actually every week. In one of our sessions, we talked about something that kind of related to why we have a lot of murders, why people can't seem to get along. Can you just share one thing that we talked about in our YPXL?
Basically feeling insecure about that person feeling insecure about themselves and not knowing who they are or whose they are, and they find issues with other people, and we have disagreements, but conflict resolution is not it's not being taught.
Right.
All we know is pick up a gun. We don't know pick up our fist and play later. We know pick up a gun and you're dead.
And not just that, but I think it has a lot to do with, like she said, we're so focused on comparing ourselves to other people that we don't take a step back and look at, okay, God makes no mistakes. So when he made me different from everybody else, and there's always one quality that's different from that other person. So I think we too much focus on, this person has this and I don't have it, and we focus so much on our insecurities to where we don't realize that God made me my own person, and he made us in his image and his likeness. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one more thing just to tack onto that is I think a lot of people have a lot of pent up emotions a lot of times,
right.
and people don't exactly know where to, or how to release that, and they release it in the wrong way or in a negative way, instead of bringing it to somebody like God. Even if you don't bring it to God, bring it to like a school counselor or something, something like that. But I think a lot of times people have these things built up and they just let it explode, and the first thing for some reason they think of is, I'm just going to take this person out altogether, rather than solving it in a different way. So like she said, it's about the solution. People don't know how to go about it the correct way, I guess.
Okay. So based upon what you just said, I'm looking at the shirts, and we talk about student taking the million. Some of the things we're targeting is bullying, as y'all have spoke on.
Yeah.
Suicides, HIV/AIDS, but let's talk about domestic violence for a second. You have just stated a lot of things that I think is very similar to what's happening in domestic violence. Would you care to speak on that and kind of talk about the scene that we had in that play on domestic violence?
Like Emmanuel said, a lot of children have built-up emotion, and built-up emotion comes from trauma. It comes from past experiences, and when you're in a domestic violence situation, some kids don't want to go tell. Some kids, they're telling, but people aren't understanding them, or people aren't hearing them for what they think that they saw or what really happened. So whenever that child does get a chance to express themselves, it's like Emmanuel said, they explode, because no one has taken the time out to really, hear them out.
Right.
And not only that, but I think the home, it starts with the home. You kind of have this environment, you know, domestic abuse going on, and you, like she said, you have all these pent up emotions and things that are going on, and then you get to school and, you know, there's somebody bullying you or something like that. So I kind of think that the home is where everything kind of starts. The home is the foundation to where, you know, where your emotions and everything's like that start, because you're in this environment where you see, you know, your mom being hit on, or you see your mom even, you know, sometimes hitting a man, and it's a different environment, and it can affect the way you see things and the way you react to things at school, because you see these kids and they're like, okay, well, she's always, you know, silent, or she's always upset, but you never really know the backstory. And I think that's kind of why kids kind of get bullied, because they don't realize what's going on at home. And sometimes the people that are bullying are the ones that are in those type of environments, and they feel like the only way that they can, you know, get out their emotions is by bullying somebody else when they get to school. So I think it's all about like the home environment and things like that.
Right.
So.
Emmanuel, do you think that that has a impact on a lot of the youth and the violence that we see amongst the youth in today?
Well, I definitely think that there's a huge impact as far as the youth today. And speaking on the scene that we did within the drama itself, one thing that I loved about the scene was the little kid running on, you know, telling about what just happened within his household, but he's coming for help. And I think what's most important about that is just to know that it's okay to ask someone for help instead of trying to go through this by yourself. And so I think, you know, it's definitely very impactful, and I think that's one of the biggest things to take away from that is just to know that there are people here to help you, and you're not in this alone. So.
Right. Very good. Very good. Okay, well, you have just heard three of our cast members, Elena, Emmanuel, and Laderica, speak on the taking off the mask and the S.T.D. That we are doing here with Save Baton Rouge. And I am Elder Joseph London, who has just interviewed these three fine young men and women of God.